What city are you originally from?
Melbourne.
I love it.
You gonna do
there.
Australian bonding with me right now?
I booked a tour there, speaking of live shows, only because I wanted to go to Australia. I was like, wasn't promoting anything.
And you've never been?
Nope. This is 2019.
Right.
And I was like, I don't care. Book shows. I need to make this happen. I just want to be there. God, I love it.
You had fun?
Loved it.
Yeah, I would like to go back.
You don't carry like a lot of pride about it. You're sort of like, you keep it in your back pocket.
It's kind of there was a section of my life where all I wanted to do was be a pro skateboarder. In Australia, all it wanted to do was not allow me to be a pro skateboarder. And America embraced me to be a pro skateboarder.
Yeah,
so there was a time there where America was so much better. I mean, guess where Tony Hawk's from? You know,
San Diego, USA.
America.
Where are you from?
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought.
And then I
thought
got into
I thought it was a trick
motocross.
question because I was like, you know what? I thought the answer was going to be like he was actually born in Australia.
Right? No, it's America. And then like I got into Supercross, and it's like Ricky Carmichael. You know, he's a great American. And then it's like I love MMA, and it's like the UFC is American, and it's the greatest MMA organization. And like Metallica, America. You know, it's like I'm like, man, something's going on here, and I think it's
and
America.
DEVO.
And DEVO.
Yeah.
Muscle cars.
I've heard this. There's some people from England. I've heard a similar thing.
Yeah, I think it's changing now because it's everywhere can like when I go back to Australia, I would get kicked off skateboard teams for being in Australia for too long. So it was, and then I won the Australasian title, and it was like you get $5,000 and a trip to Brazil, and they didn't give me the money or the trip to Brazil, and I was like, Australia, man, I'm going back to America. Like, screw this. Because every time they say they're going to pay me in America, they pay me. You know, I got a radio show in America, and it turned into this big thing where I made like millions of dollars. And I'm like, you're not doing that in Australia, dude. No way. So, yeah.
Welcome. Here we go.
And I'm not Tony Hawk. Hey everybody, Jason Ellis, world famous comedian, but not famous at all, but a comedian. I'm on the road doing comedy. Everybody can come and see me. You can see me May 1st, Long Beach, baby. May 8th, Culver City. May 10th, Tulsa. And then 11th in Tulsa. And then May 12th, Oklahoma. And then June 13th, I'm in Salt Lake City. And then Tacoma, Washington, July 5th and 6th. And then Spokane, July 7th. And then July 24th, Louisville. And then I'm going to be July 25th in Port Wayne. I don't even know where that is, but I'm going there. And then Appleton, Wisconsin, I've been there. I said Fort Wayne. You don't understand what I'm saying, but Fort Wayne, I don't know how to say it or where it is, but I'm going there and I'm doing jokes, you bastards. And then Appleton, Wisconsin, I've been there once. I ate cheese curds, and then I pooed them out, and they still look like the actual thing that I ate right after it. So I'm excited to be there, everybody. July 26th and 27th. Go to thejasonellis.com for tickets. Woo!
Where did you grow up?
Long Island, New York. I spent like 2 years, second and third grade in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro.
What?
But most of my life was in Long
So do you
Island.
speak Portuguese?
A tiny little bit.
Do you understand it?
Yeah.
Really?
I speak Spanish, which has enough similarities to it where I can understand it. But yeah, that was, but mostly New York and Long
Okay,
Island.
Fred Armisen's here, by the way.
Hi.
Thank you. We've been trying to line this up for a long time.
Yes.
Finally,
Both
the planet's
sides
aligned.
trying to
Yes.
get the schedules right.
I was ready the whole time, just for the record.
But when he was talking about the pull to the U.S., I feel like you grew up kind of in the same realm as I did, where it was so much UK music.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Everything.
Everything.
I remember like as soon as I heard the Clash talk or the Sex Pistols talk, right away I was like, what is this place? And then I remember watching music videos where like I would see like Madness videos or the specials, and England looked so cool and hazy, and all the colors were muted.
That's exactly how it was.
What? It was the complete opposite. I was like, you guys sound so awesome, and it's all sunny. And everyone's like, dude, this killer. Let's party. And I'm like, man, I want to party. You know?
No,
It just seems so gritty and foreign. It's foreign.
Yeah.
But it was something you wanted to see.
Like you wanted to dress like
yeah.
people there and instant. And it was like a real, what's weird is when I talk to British bands now from those days, I thought they all loved each other. They all have their own little sort of, not fights, but little rivalries.
Click, animosity, yeah.
Little teeny ones. Are there bands that they don't know from each other, you know? So, I guess that's just how it is.
But in those, I mean, especially, I'm sure you've seen a lot of the documentaries and coverage of those times. There was this little tiny community in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like the first Sex Pistols show, anyone that was there went on to be in some amazing band. I mean, like the Pogues and the Clash and everything else. So Billy Idol.
Yep. Yeah. And all those Manchester bands, I think they were all at a Sex Pistols show.
Yeah. Sorry, Jason.
Sorry.
I know Billy Idol. Just saying I can hang out. One time I met him.
I think he was originally in the Cult.
What?
I feel like
Billy Idol?
Yeah, there's some weird connection. I'll have to look it up, or someone's just going to debunk it here. But
I think he was a little bit raised in the USA. A little. I think when he was a kid,
I believe
he spent some years here.
He doesn't live here now?
I'm sure he does. I feel like everybody lives here now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to tell a story about when we met.
Billy Idol.
Billy Idol appeared as a special guest on the Cult Stadium tour.
Thank you very much.
I saw him live in Australia once, and a girl touched his shoelaces, and he stopped the song and went off on her, and he grabbed her teddy bear, and he had fake sex with it.
That's not a good look.
Yeah, he was really angry, but I thought it was cool. 'Cause I was like, why would you touch his shoelaces? You know, like,
Right, yeah.
he's performing. You know,
Yeah.
like calm down, woman. You know,
When was this?
early '90s.
That's
Why are you laughing like that?
Because the early 90s are such a weird time. Like it seems like an anomaly in a way. Like before grunge, there's this time where they didn't have a name for a lot of that music. So you're like, what is this?
Yeah, I saw Pantera like in the same, like I feel like in the same 4 or 5 year period at the same venue.
Yeah.
And it was like, I saw Billy Idol. I saw White Wedding, and now I'm watching Vulgar Display of Power. Like how, and I liked both of them. I was confused in my own head as to why I liked both these people.
Yeah. But now it makes more sense, I guess.
It does.
Yeah, well, it's very eclectic.
They're good musicians.
Did you go to a lot of shows?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as I could. I think the second show I ever saw was DEVO. In 1981, I saw them on their New Traditionalist tour.
Wow.
At Radio City Music Hall. Halloween.
Really?
Yep. Of 81.
So cool. Wow.
I don't need to explain to you how much I love DEVO, but I was way into them. I believed in them and still do. I still, like when I hear their music now, it's like aged well. I'm not being biased about it. I mean, just something about it.
I think Mark is a genius.
Without a doubt.
And he was on the show. But I was going to talk about when we met. There was this DEVO show in Oakland, and Kathy and I obviously want to go because we love DEVO and we're friends with Mark and Anita. And Mark told me that who I don't remember who was their. Josh Freese was doing their drumming a lot of times, and someone else would do it.
Josh Friedel sometimes too.
Yeah,
there's two different.
And
Joshes.
they weren't. Neither one was available. So, correct me if I'm wrong. Mark calls you.
Texted
And said, "Hey, do you want to drum for us at the show?" And he texted back, "I already have tickets."
Yeah.
To go see the show.
Wait, but then you did?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had tickets to go. Of course, I got tickets, just like you did for Oakland. I'm like, I'll be there. And he texted me. He's like, do you want to take the DEVO challenge? The DEVO challenge. And I thought what he meant was like, there's going to be a contest where someone plays a song and then, I play a song. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And he meant the whole show. I got to play
the whole show.
The whole show,
and because you can play drums to the whole.
Yeah,
dude.
Because when I was a kid,
is sick.
It's as sick as can be. as sick as
It
can
is.
be.
That is
Yeah.
the sickest
And he was.
it gets.
I mean, when I from a fan perspective and from a spectator perspective,
Yeah.
he was kind of hidden on the stage. I mean, he was there.
Yeah.
But you would have to be like, who's that? I think that's Fred Armisen.
Yeah.
I like it like that.
And then they introduce him like, hey, we got Fred on drums. Like, just here
like
he is.
because sometimes he plays
Yeah,
drums. for
it
Devo.
was pretty cool.
Oh, it was a dream.
Yeah.
But I also worked on it a lot. I just didn't want that to be the time to mess up.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
because like there's too many people are watching, they all have phones and stuff. So that's not where I wanted to make it.
How long did you guys rehearse?
Oh, I think that whole week, and maybe the week before, I remember Jerry and I rehearsed a little
Okay.
bit. But on my own, I fully practiced. I never practice.
Yeah.
And I practiced and I knew those songs really well.
Right.
Like just from being a kid, that's how I learned, from Alan Myers, just hearing his drumming. But I still was like, I'm going to really get this right.
How was it the first time you sat down and started rehearsing? Not like when you got a little more into it. I'm talking about, they're like, so do you know this song? And you're like, yeah. And then they go, okay, well then go.
What did they give?
I'll tell you exactly.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
What did they give you the set list beforehand?
He was asking what songs I'd like to play,
Oh
and then but I got two deep cuts. I was
You got to.
there was stuff that I
add.
wanted to play, and
Okay.
I think I was just trying to prove that I was a real DEVO fan. But they're like, no, we play the songs that everyone wants to hear. But the first time, I'll tell you exactly what it was like. I was very sort of like, I had a little bit of like pride of like, hey, I knew every part to that song. And I remember their reaction was like, not in a bad way. So what? They're like, yeah, that's how the songs go. Because
Right.
they've been playing it for 40 something years.
Right.
So to me, where I'm like, I knew it. Can you believe it?
But they weren't like,
Yeah,
holy
duh.
crap, man! Like you know that, like we do.
Exactly.
They didn't do any.
No, they're like, of course, that's how the song goes that we've been playing. Why would we,
Had they seen you play drums before?
I guess somewhere, yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how could they not be like,
I mean,
holy?
you
Oh,
knew,
they knew.
knew Mark before that.
Yeah, I knew
right?
Mark before, and he knows that I'm a drummer.
Right.
And then I've done it professionally enough. But I wasn't looking for like a big cheer or anything.
Just
But
something.
To them, it's just their job enough that, So anyway, but we just kept going and practicing over and over. And I learned a lot about their music through, hearing it through them, which was, great too.
It was so fun. It was that was one of. I have a core memory of that show. It was
That's
really
like
fun.
I've had fantasies of like Metallica saying like, "Hey man, do you want to play a song with us?" And also I can fly and see through things.
Yeah.
Like this makes the same sense.
Yeah.
And it's like, what would I do? And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, first
Yeah.
I would see through that lady's top, and then I would play, in the Sandman with James Hetfield. Like I said, that's kind of like how it would go. But to be up there and to have the capability to hold the song, so you're just fine you're in the band, like you're not making, they're not like carrying you, like you're doing the
no.
job.
Like a little kid got picked out of the audience.
Yeah,
Come on,
every
here,
now
drum
and
with
then
us
they
for a little
do
bit.
that.
Yeah,
They
I know.
let-
I know.
None of that. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're doing it.
Yeah. I
It's
couldn't
so
believe
crazy.
it. But I just wanted to deliver. Like I took my ego out of it. Like
Yeah.
the drum kit that I played is not a drum kit I would usually play. I wouldn't tune the drums that way. I was just like, I want to make it so that everyone who came to see the show, it feels like DEVO, not like my spin on it.
Right.
So that's what made it easy, was that I had one goal, like one job. I was like, just get through these songs.
Yeah.
But I knew them so well. I just didn't have to think.
Are they different live than off the albums, or are they pretty?
I
Note
gotta
for note.
say, I think they're kind of note for note.
Right.
I don't think. I mean, it's not like a jam session. It's not like
Right.
It's not like let's have fun with this. It's like
Yeah.
There's like a sort of there's like a sort of goal that they have,
Right.
where it just almost feels like almost military in its sort
Yes.
of like forward movement,
Right.
which is great.
Kind of their vibe.
That's their whole vibe.
Yeah.
Their tone isn't like, even though it's fun, it's not like, hey, let's have fun.
Yeah.
It's more like, you know,
Going
there's
to
a
work.
mission.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, like going to work. Yeah.
All right. This podcast is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting or managing or a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one space, all on your terms.
Squarespace has the tools you need to create and sell your own online course. Start with a layout that's your brand, upload videos, and customize everything with next-generation editing technology. Create engaging lessons your audience will love and add a paywall and set the price. You can charge a one-time fee or sell subscriptions. Take what you know and turn it into income with Squarespace courses.
Upload video content, organize your video library, and showcase your content on beautiful video pages. You can even sell access to your video library by adding a paywall to your content.
Squarespace can also help you sell content. Sell exclusive content on your site by adding a paywall to sell memberships or courses, or sell files your customers can download like PDFs, music, or ebooks. Check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/hawk.
Hawk and save 10% off your first order, off your first
Say it proud.
of Hawk.
Thank you.
10% if you use code
Put some
Hawk
respect on it.
of your first purchase of website or domain. The closest I ever got is I love MMA, and I've had the chance to move around with some UFC fighters.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was really cool because I was like, holy shit, because I love the way these guys fight. And I'm like, wow, like Dominic Cruz is actually doing what Dominic Cruz does in UFC fights to me. But then the only bad part is like I'm the drum kit and he's hitting me. So there's like that one bit where some of them were nice and they were hitting me in a way they were like, you know, that's, you know, we're moving around, that's what you get, you know? And I'm like, oh, whoa, that was cool. I didn't know how you did that. And then a couple guys were like, hey, man, like, that was a good shot. Like, here's a better one. And I was like, oh, and because I...
Did it hurt?
Oh, yeah. Hell, I got knocked out more than once from fighting a UFC fighter because I got a little too fortunate and a little too involved in the whole community and believing in myself and trying to earn their respect where I didn't need to, but I felt like I did. So like when we moved around, I was like, I'm gonna come at him, you know? Like I fought Keith Jardine, and Keith Jardine is known, he's the Dean of Mean, Keith Jardine. And he's a very intimidating man. And I was like, I'm not gonna be intimidated, like I'm coming at you. And I came at him and I saw his face like, oh, really? You know? And then next thing you know, I'm on my back and I'm like, what happened? And he's like, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. And then I remember telling the film, I'm like, did you get that? Because I'm still a child when it comes to all these people. It doesn't matter how old I get. Anything I look up to, anything I really love, if you're the master of it, I'm 12.
Yeah,
and
same.
You're 20.
Same
and that's
here.
how it stays
Yeah.
forever. So it was like, I remember
Oh, I thought it was, did you get that? Because he assaulted me. I have evidence.
I was like, did you get that? Because I'm going to play that to all my friends. I'm like, look at Keith Jardine punching me in the face. It's
I like
cool.
that he asked that if you're all right. That's nice.
He's actually a friend of mine now and is a very nice person and is actually a sweetheart of a human being. But if it's a fight, it's like he's violent, but he's not mean. It's more like he helped me train for
Violent but not vindictive.
Yeah, like it's like he's like, this is gonna hurt, and if you can keep going, you're on your way. You know. And
What is it? A punch? What is it that knocked you out?
A punch, yeah.
In your face?
Yeah, right in the face, yeah.
No,
kisser.
for real?
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I've had like Forrest Griffin punch me in the face. I got knocked out by the UFC heavyweight champion Shane Carwin knocked me out, and that was like real bad. And then I had like a concussion.
My ramp knocked him out.
Yeah, no, Tony's Rams knocked me out more than all the UFC fighters combined. So that's a cool.
Is that true?
Yeah,
That is true, yeah.
it's got me a couple times in the
yeah.
last 2 years. Yeah, I've hit my head a lot. But I know you, and I
I'll-
know I'm here, so whatever, concussion.
Listen, I'm not going to hit you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
But have you had a concussion, Fred?
I've never had a concussion. No.
good. Let's
And
keep it that way.
I've never been hit either.
Let's keep it that way.
Yeah. It's overrated.
I mean, from falling, not from.
Oh, nothing. I've never had a concussion.
I'm curious how did you get into comedy and/or music, and how did they parallel or?
Music was first. I just wanted to play drums, and all those bands that I mentioned, DEVO, The Clash, Bow Wow Wow. I remember.
Oh yeah, Bow Wow Wow.
That was such great drumming.
Yeah.
So just when I was a kid living on Long Island, I just asked my parents for drums. They got me drums. I took lessons and everything. And then comedy came, I was in bands and stuff in the 90s. Way towards the end of the 90s, I just sort of started making videos of me interviewing other musicians. And it was me doing different characters.
Okay.
And that I had as a VHS. And I made copies of it, and it sort of got around.
What made you do different characters?
I don't know.
Like, as soon as you started interviewing people, you didn't do a sincere one. You did a character.
No. There was something like I just wanted to do stuff like that. I just, I...
Was it a different character for each person, or was it you just had an interview character that you did?
It was more like I would do okay, I'm going to do a German guy, or I'm going to do a deaf person, or a blind person, or a college sort of interviewer.
Had you been working on these characters beforehand?
I think privately. I think in the van with my band, I was doing a lot of that.
That's
and
where
it sort of came out.
Yeah.
That tape's, a friend of mine edited it, and it got around, and I would, from that I started getting more and more gigs as a comedian. That was 1998.
But so before you made that tape, were you trying to do comedy? Were you trying to do stand-up, open mic stuff?
No.
So that goes out and you're like, okay, now I have to be a comedian?
Kind of, or more like, oh, I like this environment. And some friends would do in every city there's a variety show. Come to this, and I was like, I'll do that. Maybe I'll do a character on that. And then that's what I would just do the same thing on stage. And so after a while, I just did it more and more. I moved to LA, and I was doing it at Largo, these different characters, and Bob Odenkirk was putting together a sketch show, and he put me in this sketch show for a pilot. And
was that Mr. Show?
No, he had already done Mr. Show.
Okay.
He was doing this other thing for Fox, so that's sort of made it more official.
Right.
And then I had all this video of me doing characters, and then someone showed it to Lauren at SNL, and I got an audition. And
do you think he saw that original VHS, or you had newer stuff? I mean,
then it was more tightened. It was tightened up a bit. And Marcy Klein over at SNL, she's the talent booker, just made him watch it, and I got an audition. When you auditioned,
did they know you played music?
I had timbales up there. One of my characters, it was like a Tito Puente kind of guy. And then I had timbales up there. So I already had it as a sort of, something I could lean on.
A bit.
A bit, yeah. So I auditioned as that character. I was like, Felicito was the character.
And then how long after that did you hear you got the gig?
First I did it at a club at UCB, and then I did it again at the studio, in front of Lauren and everybody. And then when I was walking down the hall back to the elevator, Marcy just said, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" So something in there felt like, oh, maybe something's about to happen. And then that night we all went to dinner, and then I got the call,
So that day.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't know a lot about SNL, but I feel like you hear people, they flew back home, they were waiting, and then they get the call.
No, I flew back home from the nightclub one, the first one. But that was
I'm just saying, when from what I know, when people do the audition for Lauren, sometimes they don't hear back.
Oh, yes, that happens sometimes.
Days or even a week or so.
Or years. I think Bobby Moynihan auditioned 1 year, and it was the next year that he got on the cast.
Wow.
Wait, the next year they called him out of the blue?
I think so. Or maybe they called him to do the audition again or something.
But Fred's same day.
But it's just
because they knew.
Yeah.
Something worked out. I think there's some people, I feel like Maya Rudolph might not have even had to audition. I think they knew that they wanted her. So it's different for everybody.
You were on for almost 10 years?
11.
11 years?
Yeah.
So
it was a
funny.
dream. I loved it. I loved every
We
second
love
of it.
seeing you on it.
Yeah.
I remember before I got the job, I was like, this is going to be the best thing ever. And it was. It was like it was just awesome. Everyone I met. You were great on the show when you were on. That was really fun.
Oh, that was amazing.
That whole sketch
I got
was
the
really
call
funny.
when I was doing this show. We were recording up here. I live in San Diego, and I got the call and like, hey, do you want to be on SNL? I was like, yes. How? They go, well, it's this weekend. You have to fly there tonight.
Yeah.
And I left the studio, and I parked my car at LAX and took a red eye to New
You
York.
kicked ass, by the way.
It was so
That was
fun.
really good.
It was so fun. Thank you. I mean,
And
I
plus-
would have
plus-
done if I was just like pushing a broom in the background.
Oh, hey,
You know what I mean?
I get it. But also, watching you, you seem like someone who watches SNL. Like you understood.
Oh, yeah.
You knew what the moment was, and that you were. That's what made it funny. Like you
Oh,
seem
thank
you
you.
seem like a fan enough.
Oh
that-
yeah, no, the whole time I was just like,
yeah.
like you with Devo, and just walking around like, hey Keenan, how's it going? Good to see you. Hey man, I love that the Trump impression. It's cool. All right.
Right?
Some of your stuff on SNL is just so. I mean, the Californians. Do
Oh yeah. Lucky.
you know the Californians?
Yeah.
That was like based on like what it's like to be in LA. You know,
Yeah.
like we
Of
still
course.
had that conversation of how we got someplace.
I mean, at this point now, if anyone talks about their route or their traffic, you just stop them and be like, okay, we're the Californians.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, just stop.
Yeah, but then you continue it. You're like, well, anyway, I did take the. But it was kind of like it was also like a bit that me and Keenan and Bill Hader would do about like be like, oh, we just got back from LA,
Yeah.
and then we'd talk about all the highways and stuff. And then this other weird thing happened where I was talking. I wasn't on the show with Dana Carvey, but I did some stand up with him, and he was telling me a story about his son, and the way he was doing.
I've
it,
heard that.
Yeah.
When he's like, oh, it's fucking bullshit.
I was like, but Dad.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and so somewhere there's like a mix of all those things together. You know that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever fall into the? I know that with SNL and just talking to David Spade, where you're writing and you're pitching stuff, and then
Yeah.
like you don't get on that week, or you don't have any bits that week, and how crushing that was.
Yeah. But what you learn is it doesn't matter. So like.
You got to teach me this after the show. I love this. Doesn't matter.
philosophy.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter in the biggest way. In that, like, if I watch SNL now, I don't count how many sketches someone's in, or if one cast member isn't in, I don't think I even notice.
Yeah, I've never counted who's in it and how many times they're in one show. You're
Yeah,
right.
or if they're funny in one sketch, I'm good for the year. I'm like, oh, they were great in that one thing.
Yeah.
I'm fine with whoever. So, when you're there, you think you focus so much on it, but then after a while, nobody cares. Nobody is like.
You mean in the staff?
The audience.
The audience,
or,
right.
Or you know what I mean? Maybe more your friends.
Okay.
Your friends who are like, out there watching the show,
Right.
they could care less. They're like, oh, I couldn't even stay up the whole time anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
so it's more like it's after years of it, you realize that all that matters is that, you just try to come up with some good sketches and you're fine. But yeah, it's when those days happen, the opposite happens too, where you write all this stuff you don't quite get on, but then you're in everyone else's sketch. Mm-hmm. And then you do an impression of someone that resonates or something. So it all
Get to keep coming back to it.
yeah, it all works out. Even by the end of the year, you're like, what was I even worried about?
Is there an art form to your impressions? Like when do you get it from a person or combine two people? Or like, is there a thing you see with somebody where you go, oh, I'm definitely taking that and making that a character?
Yeah, it's that one. It's where like, it's almost like luck. You just watch, you happen to be watching TV and you go, oh, I bet you, there's something funny about the way they talk.
Yeah.
I bet you I can do that. And it's more like that. Like it sort of just creeps up on you. Like recently, I'm a big fan of Dinosaur Jr.
Yeah.
And I've just watched interviews with Jay Mascis endlessly.
Yeah.
And I noticed that he's kind of quiet.
Oh man, he's
There's something in there if I was still on SNL, that's something that would have occurred to me to be like, I'm going to try it, to do an impression of him.
That's interesting to me because Dinosaur Jr., we're fans, obviously, but in the mainstream, he's still kind of obscure. And if you were to follow that, would SNL or Lauren be like, no one really knows?
What I would do is I would just pitch it anyway.
Would you turn him into a character that doesn't necessarily be the guy from Dinosaur Jr.?
Both. So sometimes I might push it as like, can I try it as Jay? Or yes, you're right. Like I would be like, okay, this character is based on Jay Mascis,
Right.
but I'll call him something else.
Right.
So, and I've done sketches like that where, it's like it might be someone like Jello Biafra, but I don't call it Jello Biafra.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it makes its way onto the show in its own way.
I just had this funny conversation with my daughter because I have my music just on full random, all my stuff, and the Dinosaur Jr. cover of Just Like Heaven came on.
Oh yeah.
And my daughter and I actually sang that at my friend O's memorial. And so she's like, whoa, this is a cover. I go, yeah, this is kind of a funny cover. Like, I like it. I go, but it ends abruptly. I don't know if you've ever heard it.
Yeah, of course.
But it ends really abruptly. And who was the guy that we did the memorial for?
Yeah.
This all just came back to me. He was at a trade show and he was walking around with Jay Mascis and bringing Jay to all the skate booths. And I had just gotten that single.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, this is Jay. I go, oh, yeah, Dinosaur Jr. Like, yeah, I got that Cure cover. I'm like, why does it end like that?
Yeah.
And he said, that's just the end. Like, and it was just very like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
That's how the song ends. Like, well, that's not how the original song ends, and it's a cover. I was like trying to fight back to him, and he's just like, I wanted to go, whatever. I know I'm dwelling on, but I want to go like, well, did you not record the rest of the song? Do you have the original recording?
Yeah.
It was just like,
I feel like I do that with text messages. And people ask me if I'm like, did I do something wrong or something? And I'm like, wow, what are you talking about?
what do you mean? Like if they're asking
I'm
you?
not very good at reading or writing, and I don't like to spell stuff. And when I try to talk into my phone, it doesn't understand my weird half Australian, half American accent.
Yeah.
So there's certain words, because I'm so illiterate, where if I can't say it into the phone and it understands me and I can't spell it, then we're just not going to get that word going at all.
Yeah.
So I'll just go, no. You know what I mean? Or I'll be like, yeah. You know what I mean? Instead of having my answer that I wanted to give, I'm like, oh, fucking phone. No. You know what I mean? And then the person is like, man, is everything okay? And I'm like, what are you talking? Like, I can't say, you know what I mean? I can't make the phone say Caucasian or whatever. I mean, because there's certain words where I'm like, I really don't know the letters that go in it.
Yeah.
And the phone's like, are you saying like kaleidoscope? And I'm like, no, it's Caucasian. It's like completely different word. And I'm like, but once it's spelt out, I can tell
I am
that's
curious about what is the text thread that you have to use the word Caucasian.
Yeah.
Well, I was just trying to think of a word that I know I can't spell for sure. And I'm like, that one, I don't know how many, I have no idea.
Because that opens up a door to a lot of questions.
Am I Caucasian or am I black? I get asked that a lot. And I'm like, I am Caucasian. And it's like, you're a kaleidoscope. And I'm like, I'm not a kaleidoscope. I'm Caucasian.
That was good. That was a good spin.
That was a good spin. And quick.
Yeah.
You were right on it.
Hey, see me in chuckles tonight, everybody. Oh, man.
But you can, one thing I've been using more is that sort of, you can record your voice. It's a text, and it comes up as a voice note.
Yes.
And it's a good language.
That's how Spade communicates to me.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And it's an understood, like, I'm not calling you, I'm just leaving you this thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of effective. You just go like this, and you go like, oh yeah, I had stopped by there. I'll see if I can go back and whatever.
Aware of that, and you made me feel bad, because you're right, I could do that instead. But I think when I get jammed, then my brain gets jammed and I give up on all hope, and I go or nah, because I'm bummed that I'm illiterate. I'm like, dude, you should know how to spell, and you that whole thing where it was like,
feel bad.
I don't need to get an education, I can be a pro skateboarder. That was a bad idea. That was a bad call. You know,
I go into a spiral of trying to find sometimes the perfect, funny meme or reference to this thing, because I'm like, oh, I have this answer for this, but I really, and then all of a sudden I find myself like, I'm sitting here for 10 minutes on the phone looking for this stupid photo.
It's the worst.
But I feel like it's so necessary.
Yeah.
And then it's too late.
And it's too
like
late.
sometimes
Yeah,
I'll
that's
think of
right.
something really funny. I'm like, I got it. I found a picture of that clown.
Yeah.
Oh my God, here it comes. And I'm like, it's 6 hours later. They're
Yeah.
gonna be like, that's not funny anymore.
Something witty.
It's
Yes,
the
I just did that with
worst.
my wife
It's
yesterday.
the worst.
Wait, you did that to your wife?
Yeah, I can't remember. There was something I was like, oh, I have the perfect like movie reference to that, and then by the time I found it, she'd already texted me something else, and it was too late to
Yeah,
reply.
yeah,
You're
joke's
done.
gone.
You're done.
Yeah.
You're,
Lame.
it's dead.
Yeah.
She hates the joke with all the other
Did the whole-
questions.
Took a screen grab of the
Yeah.
of my reference and stuff.
Yeah.
Gone.
Hey, wouldn't this have been funny if I answered it like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. That's a good employee to have. That is a good reason. Like hire someone to be like your like reference, like
Oh,
someone
wow.
who could just like feed you that stuff real quick. Like,
boy, do
hey,
I need
That's
that.
a lot to live up to.
yeah, just to have someone around just to be like, okay, who's that banjo player?
Yeah.
What was the
Yeah.
movie that banjo player was in? Can I get a reference? You know,
I'm bad at giving clues, so there's a person that I have done radio with for the last 20 years who I'll say something and he goes, Patrick Swayze or whatever, and everyone else in the room goes, how the hell did you know that's what he was talking about? Because I'll be like,
Oh, you just have your own language.
I'd be like, dead guy, it was a ghost, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and he's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Patrick Swayze, and everyone's like, how the?
Yeah.
Because he knows my brain.
Oh,
because
yeah,
if
yeah.
I feed it to somebody who doesn't know me, they're like, what are you? I don't know. Like, what are you? Is it a cow? Like, nobody knows what I'm talking about because my clues are not good, to say the least.
I think that's on those people. I think they're. I think they're trying to make you. I think they're like, what? They're not open. They're
Yeah.
like, what are you talking? What you're being like? They're not
Yeah.
like. I'm like, come on, just open your mind a little bit.
I'm gonna flip it now and be like,
Yeah,
"You guys
yeah.
are stupid, man!
Yeah,
like
they're
it was
just-
so obvious."
They think they're being funny by being like, what?
Yeah. I'm gonna
That's
go with
nonsense. Like, come on.
that. Man, you're a real confidence booster. You know that? I feel so much better about everything today.
Fred, I'm curious, and I know I want to talk about Portlandia, but when you look back on all the years at SNL, I'm sure there were things that you thought were super fun at the time, but when you look back, what was the most fun part of it in hindsight?
Oh, the writing.
The writing.
Yeah, because that's where you're sitting with your friends or whatever. I was sitting with these writers and cast members, and you're laughing at things that are like, this won't end up on TV, but oh my God, this is so funny, and just like laughing just so hard, and it's at all hours of the morning, and
Right.
that is my favorite. What a crazy way to like bond with someone.
It's so great.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what made it onto air, what didn't, but I just remember trying to come up with stuff and just laughing
Right.
at the insanity of the concept of something.
Because it's a group of you that are all like throwing in these things that are triggering you to think of another funny thing on
Yeah.
top of the other funny thing, and it's the highest level of people that write funny things.
It's the elite.
highest
The elite.
level.
Right.
And so I look at that person, I'm like, how does your brain work?
Yeah.
How did you find that word?
and they're looking
that
at you
image?
thinking the same thing.
Well, I would
Yeah.
hope so. But it's also like the space, it's just a couple of desks, some, like a laptop, a couple computers and like a little couch. And that also is somehow funny. I'm like, that we're in this room, like, like, for
For a national show that
for
millions of people are going to watch in 2 days.
Yes. And then how is it that this
Yeah.
is where, as opposed to like, say, a bar or a restaurant, like, hey, we're having a great time.
Right.
There's something that it's an office that makes it even more insane.
How does that experience compare to writing for Portlandia, where you have way more time to develop?
Well, that's,
Something.
it's a different thing, but that's another level of like getting to be with your friends and laughing. But since it's not instant, we had to think in a different way. Like, it's not the news of that week. It's like, this has to have some shelf life. So let's think this through a little more. But that's, that was also same thing. Like,
Is that your music background that got Portlandia, like the impressions? Like, because I feel like Seattle, like I just feel like some of the stuff in it, it's like I've seen that person before in a
Fully.
band.
Completely. And plus that Carrie comes from music, that she's in a band.
Okay.
She knew all the same, references or would come up with all that stuff. So that was great just to be with another musician trying to come up with these ideas. And she's just a
You
comedic.
get the
She's a
inside joke on each other as well.
Oh, right away.
What happens when you go visit Portland?
I still go
You do?
pretty regularly.
But did the people of Portland, did they embrace that, or did they think, oh, he's stereotyping us? Like,
now it's more people kind of are blown away. You know, that like they'll be like, I can't tell if it's a tourist or someone who lives there, but if it's a tourist, they kind of are like, can't compute that I'm
actually
there. And or if I'm meeting up with Carrie there, it's like
wow.
a real that blows their mind that we're on a street
Are there hidden
corner.
cameras here?
Yeah. No, they're really appreciative and warm and like, or back when we were shooting, sometimes they would give us little gifts and
Oh yeah,
bread or whatever. You know, like.
No, I was curious about that because like those guys that do the Detroiters, my wife's from Detroit, but when they go to Detroit, they're just celebrated. Everyone's so excited that they're there, and even though they're trying to play on stereotypes of people in Detroit.
Well, we definitely tried to make the show with love. Like it was sort of appreciative of the city, and also it's the way that we were as people. Like all of the characters on there those are the things that we went through as, as people. Like, whatever it is, trying to like do the right thing or trying to like trying to be political without stepping on any toes, trying to recycle in the right way or whatever. It's it's our experience.
Yeah, I mean, it was great writing.
Thanks.
Yeah,
we had
awesome.
a bunch of us write it, but Carrie, she's a comedic genius. She really like the first sketch that we had, Put a Bird on It, was Carrie's idea, and it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
There's no punchline to it. There's no
It's
real
a tagline
joke.
that lives on like SNL.
Hope knock on couch.
What's the? I can't believe I'm blanking out. What's the band? The
Spinal Tap?
Stonehenge. Yeah, Spinal Tap.
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah,
everybody that was in a band when Spinal Tap came out, loved it, and it was making fun of them.
Yes.
Like I was hanging out in a bunch of bands where everybody wanted to go to Seattle. That's why Portlandia made sense to me because I hadn't been, but I knew these people, and I knew Australians that were trying to be these people.
Yeah.
So I had already met those people before, but I remember there were bands that were friends of mine that were trying to be what they, hello Cleveland. And I'm like, you guys, and they all thought that was the funniest movie they'd ever seen. And I'm like, it's making fun of you.
Oh, totally.
Like 100% you. And they're like, yeah, it's great. So it was no one ever took it as,
no.
It's like Mick Dundee making fun of Australians. Like, the Crocodile Hunter, I remember coming in and people were like, do you have to watch out for it? And I would just be like, like I'll go with it. Like, they're everywhere. Look at this. Oh, look at it. I'm eating a sandwich. Whoa, crocodile. Like just because I'm like, why not go with it? But never did I go, hey, I've never had a shrimp on the barbie. That's bullshit. Like I was just like, hell yeah, man. Like make it up. Let it go. Like,
yeah. I mean, we could do it with LA too. If people think it's all agents and stuff, I'm like, sure, there's agents everywhere.
But my favorite was LA Story. Back in
Oh
the
yeah,
day.
that is
so great.
There's
Did you ever see LA Story? Steve Martin
movie. There's little jokes in there that are like
insane.
They still resonate. It's pretty crazy.
I know, it's insane. He wrote a whole movie just
and a while
making fun
ago,
of LA.
Oh wow!
And 90s?
In the 90s, yeah.
Why did I not see that? Maybe I hit my head too many times.
No.
Or like the hotel.
I don't think it was a big
Pollo
movie.
Del Mar, Chicken of the Sea.
Wait, Chicken of the Sea was before Chicken of the Sea?
No. I'm just saying, like, there's
Like,
a
that was a
little
joke. They got a
there's a little
joke in
joke,
it.
like he's using Spanish. They try to make it sound fancy because it's
Yeah,
Spanish, and
yeah,
when you
yeah.
translate it, it's like it's Chicken of the Sea. It's the name of the hotel.
It was just real. It was just
stuff
like
like that,
restaurant
but-
scenes that are really good. And but about Spinal Tap, I can't believe how that movie still works.
Yeah.
And I still have to fight it. I still have to when I think I've thought of a good band reference joke.
Yeah.
Still,
It's in there.
gotta go like, no, Spinal Tap already did it.
Right.
40 years later, or whatever it is
My
now.
sister, she used to sing backup for Michael Bolton and for John Denver.
Yeah.
And they did a show, and for the Righteous Brothers, actually, I think it was Righteous Brothers. They did a show and
Wait, she did backup vocals?
backup vocals for all of them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But one of the shows she did, it was like American Music Awards or something. Spinal Tap played, and she swore that Spinal Tap was the tightest band in the whole.
Oh, I could see that.
I still love some of their songs.
And she said that
those are
everyone
good.
had to be in character backstage.
That doesn't surprise me.
Oh, I see. So was she in? She wasn't in character. You're saying the
No,
people that were.
she was
a spectator.
She was playing with Wright Brothers, right?
So separate
Wright
camp.
Brothers played a song, Spinal Tap played a song,
Yeah.
U2, whoever, I don't know,
Yeah.
American Music Awards, so someone else. But they said when Spinal Tap played, when they were backstage, they were in character.
Yeah.
When they got on stage, they were super tight as a band, and when they left, they were still in character.
Love it.
Hell yeah.
That was just amazing.
Yeah.
That's the way to go. But what year was it of the American Music Awards? Because if Spinal Tap were on, who were the other guests? That would have been that would have been Hall & Oates.
So hard.
No, Hall & Oates, Cyndi Lauper.
Are you just projecting?
I know, I'm pretending. I'm just making a joke.
I
wish I was one of those people who could do
I got
that.
to go with her to one. I think it was 91 or 92. And Cyndi Lauper was backstage, and she refused a picture with me. And I still,
What?
it still stings. But it's
She
okay.
said no?
Yeah. Just like, you know what? No. She's like, I just looked in the mirror. No.
Oh, okay, that's different.
Yeah.
She felt not hot.
I guess, but she just been on stage.
Okay, so she was being a bitch.
I mean, it's fine. But I saw Gene Simmons. He took a photo with me.
Right.
And I saw Tupac. And I didn't get
yeah.
a photo with Tupac.
But
too
he didn't
scared
say
to
no.
ask him?
Did he?
He was the coolest. The
Yeah,
coolest
yeah.
one I met the whole
Yeah.
time.
I
That was
say
awesome.
in my life, I don't know how you are. Whenever people want pictures, I'm like, absolutely.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But,
always...
what you see is what you get too. And like,
I mean, and
no, but it was like, I know it was kind of one of my first times where I was like, oh, there's celebrities everywhere. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Let's get a photo. And she was one of the first ones that I asked. I was with Riley's mom, so we both asked, and she's like, no. And then we were just like,
yeah,
and
now
then
you
that set
remember
the
it.
tone
Yeah.
for like, oh, maybe we shouldn't ask anyone.
Yeah.
And then Terrence Trent D'Arby pretended to be asleep. He was on a
You
couch.
wish you'd asked him for a photo
He was on a
now.
couch
right?
talking to a dude, green room, backstage. And we're like, hey, can we get a photo? And he kind of looked at, like, turned his head real slowly to the guy he was talking to. And the guy he's talking to is like, he's asleep right now.
What a dick.
And I was like,
Man,
what? That was next level.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Man, what a butthole. I remember
And, like, I liked his music up until that point.
a friend of mine
Yeah,
asked
it colors
Tiger Woods.
how you hear the music. It's interesting.
Oh, yeah. Like, I kind of like Cyndi Lauper, but after that, I was like, nah.
See? Ruined it.
Yeah.
My friend asked Tiger Woods for an autograph in the airport. He said, you better get me while I'm going. And didn't stop. And then one time on a big day out.
I mean, but
it was for a photo, sorry.
Tiger Woods in a public airport.
If he stops, it's
I
going to
get
get
if
mold.
he stops moving,
he's-
that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, and also because also he is going somewhere.
Right.
Like there's a car waiting or something.
That's like people complaining Taylor Swift, like that she flies around a private airplane. I was like, can you imagine
Yeah,
if
good
Taylor Swift
luck.
went to an airport?
The same.
Or even if she's like in a VIP lounge?
No,
Chaos. There's no way.
Complete chaos.
Yeah. What was your first encounter with a celebrity that you were excited to see?
First, that's easy. The Clash at the Pier in New York.
I'm so jealous.
So they
never saw The Clash.
So first of all, they were after the show. Cosmo Vinyl, who was like their sort of tour manager or something. We were all waiting. We were teenagers, by the fence after the show.
Yeah.
And he just looked at us all and he goes, "Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, everyone, come on backstage, everybody." And we go back there, and I got to talk to Paul Simonon and Joe Strummer.
No way.
Oh yeah, and they were great. I was so young that I don't even know what I was saying.
Yeah.
Just words and, I don't even know what. And Joe Strummer was so patient and just looked at me and
He
nodded.
seemed like he was so cool.
Nodded, wasn't looking for
And
any
Paul,
other place
too.
to be. Paul, fantastic.
Yeah.
It was so nice. And I remember it was raining, so I had a sort of, my clothes are all wet. And he's like, you have to remember to change your jacket when you get home because you're going to catch a cold. Something like that. Just like some, don't forget, whatever.
Something caring.
It's raining. And, some nice thing. Oh, it was the best.
So cool.
But the fact that the the part of it where Cosmo Vinyl came out to say, come on back. It wasn't we weren't sneaking in, we weren't begging. That someone was sent out to go like, you guys waited here this long. Let's go meet the band.
Wow.
Was the best. Yeah.
It goes a long way.
Okay. I mean, that I remember all these years later.
Yeah.
Just like you remember all the bad ones that, someone not signing or taking a picture.
Yep.
Same thing. Like, I will never forget that.
Yeah.
The look of Joe Strummer. Now looking back, I'm like, that poor guy was like, who is this kid yapping away? And him just going.
I feel like he was very thankful for his fan, or just very generous.
Oh,
with
yeah.
his fan. Yeah, absolutely. I one of my huge regrets is he was playing with the Mescaleros in LA, and I got invited to go, kind of as a VIP. And I just couldn't make it that day. I live in San Diego. I think I had something with kids, but I was just like, I can't make it. And he passed away like 2 months later.
I remember that tour. It was like that.
Yeah.
Did he play the Troubadour or the Whiskey or something?
Troubadour.
It was the Troubadour.
Yeah, that was it. I see
How-
that email in my mind.
No,
like,
don't.
hey, you want to come see Joe Strummer Troubadour? Like, yeah, but I can't.
No, you do. How are you to know? How
What's
were you
it?
to
Well,
know?
I know, but
Children, Tony, am I right?
you saw the Clash though.
I saw the
huge.
Clash.
What-
And then I went to SNL to see them when they played SNL.
How old were you then?
16 or
So
something?
you knew they were playing, and that's why you went to get tickets.
A classmate, her dad was a cameraman.
Oh wow!
And she's like, you like that band, The Clash? Do you want to go see them? And I went to the dress rehearsal of that.
Oh my
And
God!
Yeah. It sounds so braggy, me saying all these things, but I should brag.
Yeah.
That is a flex.
That's a flex,
Yeah.
right?
I saw the Clash.
And then again, and then again
I saw
at
the Clash do
SNL.
sound check
Yeah.
at SNL.
Yeah.
You should have a trophy.
badass.
Yeah,
that.
I should have a trophy.
Who was it when you were on SNL? What band were you most excited that played?
I would say the first person that comes to mind is Paul McCartney. Like
yeah.
that's where I was
Ooh.
like, can't believe I'm going to be this close to
That's so
watching him
wild.
play
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
And he played a bunch of times, and it was always incredible, to
Yeah.
see him walking
He's
around.
the coolest.
The coolest.
You guys have both hung out with him?
I was at this party that I got invited from a friend who was working with Nine Inch Nails. He said, "Hey, there's this party. I'm pretty sure Paul McCartney is going to be there, and we should go." It was like a lunch thing, but it was a lot of people. They had bought out this restaurant, and Kathy, my wife, was with this guy's girlfriend at the time, and they went to the bar. And I'm standing facing the door, just kind of turn to the door, and I see Paul McCartney walk in. And no one knows it's him yet. I'm the first person he saw. And I'm like, who's seeing this? This is not happening. And I'm trying to get Kathy's attention, and she's turned towards the bar, and I was like, this is crazy. So I just ran up to him like, Paul McCartney, Tony Hawk, big fan. You signed something for me for this foundation? He's like, oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, I tried to skateboard once. Yeah. And I'm sitting there talking to him, and I'm still like trying to side-eye Kathy, and she's not seeing me, and it was wild. I had like 3 minutes with him.
Did she see you talking to him, or was it
Not
just like...
then, no. And then finally, and then then of course people started seeing him, and everyone else is just bombarding him, and then he moved on, and then she got back. I was like, I just talked to Paul McCartney. He's right there. She's like, what? I saw it. It was, I don't know. And then as we were leaving, he was sitting at a table with
Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh. He was sitting there with Joe Walsh, and I just interrupt their conversation. I was like, hey, this is my wife. Just wanted to say hi.
Nice.
Nice to meet you. Bye. Thank you.
And he was not...
Well, I felt bad for interrupting him. Like it was definitely a barge, but
Right.
he's the
He likes hanging out, goofing around, not a million people around him, fully present.
Yeah.
And doesn't act like it's a gift that you get to see him.
Yeah.
None of that. Just a kind of like.
But and
And
also,
you believe
I mean,
it's real.
I believe it's real.
Oh, yeah.
It feels
And-
like someone who likes hanging out.
Yeah.
And likes,
and likes that you like his music.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never.
But people pour their heart out. I mean, I literally said like, Sgt. Pepper. That was the first music I bought with my own money.
Yeah.
Was that album?
Yeah.
And I listened to it endlessly when I was a kid, and like it meant so much to me. And he's like, "Oh yeah, thank you, yeah." But he really he accepts it. It's not like he's just like, yeah, cool, man.
None
Right.
of that.
Glad you liked it. You know, we had fun doing that.
Which at this point would be hard to, accept people's appreciation when it's the whole world has tried to tell you how much they appreciate
Everyone.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah.
I've seen him with other people, and it rolls so smoothly. People
Yeah.
really freaking out,
Yeah.
and he calms them down and talks
Right.
to them. And
But I mean, he's at the level where it doesn't matter how famous someone is, they're going to
yes,
fawn over him.
Right.
yeah,
You know what I mean? There's
They're
no
gonna freak
hierarchy.
out.
Like he's here, and everyone else is like, oh, dude.
Right, but I feel like especially somebody like yourself that is famous, seeing him and how he handles you, because we are still all people,
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
and
Yeah.
it's like, yes, what I have done, like if you go back, it looks like I did some pretty special stuff,
Yeah.
But I am just a man, and you are just a man, and you deserve, like, I see you,
Sure,
I
but
appreciate it.
it, on his level, it has to get overwhelming. Every single person wants a moment with you. Everyone.
yeah. Pilots on planes, just everyone, little kids, just
I feel like from doing this show and hearing how you told to people, and over the years seeing you told to people, like I've learned because I've had some dark times in my life, and I've gone through some tough times, and had people approach me when I'm depressed. I'm like straight up clinically depressed, and they're like, "Hey man, like, do you remember me?" And I'm like, I don't. And not only am I clinically depressed, but I have brain damage. I legitimately don't know you. And it's like, I follow you on Instagram. And I'm like, oh, man, you got to do better than that. And he's like, I've messaged you. And I'm like, dude, I know I'm not Tony Hawk, but I get a lot of messages. And if I said thank you, like, I need a face. Like, I need like a little more, And it's like, oh, come on, man, you don't remember me? And I'm like, no. And it's like, man, you're kind of a dick. And I'm like, I'm kind of thinking, fuck you a little bit, but I don't want to say it. But there's ways where I could have handled it, because I've never said no to someone asking for an autograph, because ever since I was a little kid, every time I signed a board or a T-shirt, I'm like, this is probably the last time this will ever happen. So you definitely want to do it.
Yeah.
And then to be 52 and someone to ask for me to sign their T-shirt, I'm like, holy, this might go forever. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I'm never going to say no, because I feel like if I ask you for an autograph, I'm freaking out that you're there.
Yes.
That's a big thing for me to want to
Yeah.
do that. So I think it's the same way. But I feel like in these moments where I've been in a dark space and I haven't seen their eyes, like I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And then they leave, or I'm like, oh man, those are those moments where you can pay it back. Even when you're in a bad spot, like if you can see that for what it is, like they just want to connect with you.
You can play along too. I mean,
yeah. You could also say like, help me out, help me remember.
Yeah. No, I want to, because I'm going to use this in the future, because there's no doubt I'll be dark again, and somebody's going to be like, hey, man, remember me from Twitter? And I'll be like, no. Like.
Do you remember the first time you got recognized?
Oh yeah, or like I remember at first it was just people saying SNL.
They
Okay.
just say SNL.
They didn't know my name or anything, so they're like, hey, SNL, and then little by little.
How was that though?
I thought it was pretty cool.
You thought it was cool?
Because I had seen it happen to Kevin Nealon, and before I was on SNL.
But they didn't know Kevin. They just said SNL to Kevin Nealon.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like they know he's from the show, so it's kind of like. It was a nice feeling. It felt official, like, oh, I guess I really am on SNL.
Yeah.
I
remember I was at an arcade. This guy's like, hey man, is your name Tony Hawk? And I was like, yeah, what? Who are you? What do you want?
Yeah.
Like, why do you? It was more just like, what do you?
I still
name?
do that one. Because I'm a suspicious looking character, and I'm like, someone says Jason, I go, maybe. Why?
Yeah. He said, I remember he said, oh, I saw you in this magazine. And I was like, what magazine? I wasn't in a magazine. Like I had not been in Transworld or Thrasher or anything. I don't even know if Thrasher was available yet. But I figured out he saw me in a Bones Brigade intelligence report.
Intelligence report.
Remember, Pal used to put out these little pamphlet things with their team.
That came with the board?
And it was, I think you had to sign up for it.
Oh, okay.
Like you signed up to be a Bones Brigade member. You got a little membership card.
Oh,
and you
okay.
get these intelligence reports every 6 months or something.
Yeah.
And the first time I was ever in print with my name was one of those.
Yeah.
A picture of me with Steve Caballero, like as little kids.
Yeah.
How old were you?
12.
Whoa.
So crazy.
But I just remember the feeling like what do you want?
But that's an early start. Like when
Really
they
early.
recognized you, how old were you?
Not 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you even?
I know, right? And
That's
and of
early.
all the ones that it's happened to, because it's happened to a few other skateboarders in our time, and being handled like that as a child until you're in your 30s,
Yeah.
you can almost forget that there's responsibilities and like other people's feelings and whatnot in the world, and I almost don't blame them.
Yeah.
But to him, he's always been
Not
by-
always, for sure, in those days, and especially when I would be with Stacy after that, because Stacy Peralta was our mentor, and people would, like, there'd be a kid standing there with my signature skateboard, like staring at me, and I'm uncomfortable in my own skin. So I'm like, what? I don't know what to do. And he's like, hey man, gotta go talk to him.
Right.
Just go say hi.
Wow.
Okay. Like, what's up, man? How's it going? And then that, of course, went a long way, but I didn't understand breaking out of my own awkwardness to go do that. He's the one who taught me how to do that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He was very handy in a lot of, because I
I
wasn't
mean, he was a
around-
mentor in
Yeah.
so many ways. And ironically, he was a mentor to me to go start my own company
Right.
and leave his company because that's what he had done.
Right. He did.
So it was kind of like,
Wow.
you're such a mentor that I'm doing what you're doing and I'm going to quit and go do my own thing.
At that particular moment, did he appreciate that?
Things
Couldn't see
were
both-
weird then. Things are weird. So he understood.
Okay, because I feel like, especially if you've done it, like exactly.
He did. He said those words. He said, "How can I stop you from doing it?" That's exactly what I did.
Right.
But he also said, that's exactly what Lance and Tommy are doing.
Right.
And I had heard maybe that was the case, but that confirmed it.
Okay.
And so I'm like, all right, Lance is doing it, Tommy's doing it, I'm doing it.
Because it's time.
It's time.
It was time.
Yeah, it was time.
Yeah.
And it's not like you didn't, it's like, man, I wish this could keep going forever. But it's like, you're looking at it the wrong way. What you had was pretty awesome, man. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Your little segment of being the Bones
Let's not be
Brigade.
sad it's over. Let's be happy it happened.
But you
How
have
did
to.
you know it was time to leave SNL?
I remember Amy Poehler saying to me before I had left, like, you'll know, you'll just feel it. You'll just know when you've said enough. And sure enough, it was exactly like that. It was just like
Really?
this feeling like, I think I
we're
said
done
what I
here.
wanted to say. And, as new cast members come in, you kind of feel like, yeah, this feels right. This is nice. Like,
Yeah. I mean, you had a
and
long run though.
long run.
Did you already have ideas of where you were going before you left?
I was already doing Portlandia.
Okay.
So they overlapped enough that I didn't even have to think about it too
Oh,
much.
wow.
So I was already sort of doing.
So there was no risk.
No.
You were like, I'm already.
I was already
I have
had a
another
show.
thing.
And,
Yeah.
and it was the same time as Bill Hader. So I also had like a buddy.
You
we
left
could
at
like
the same exact time.
time. Yeah. We could go through that experience together
Did you guys talk about it before you left, or you were both?
all the time.
Right.
Yeah, like because it's emotional.
How did that come up though? Between you.
Because the year before we were already like, I wonder how many, maybe a couple more years, one more year, that sort of, and then,
Was it like Lethal Weapon, where you were like, I'm getting too old for this shit?
or, wow.
Well, I mean,
wow, that's an interesting, I was
You're in
almost
the
going to say,
locker room?
almost going to say no, but I'm like, maybe there is a sense of like the energy it takes to have that kind of like every week, I'm going to make this week count. After years of it, you kind of go like, there's a feeling of like, I don't need to make this week count.
Yeah.
What if like,
Wow, yeah.
sort of
Oh, wow.
like, it's sort of like, what if, what if it's not an emergency
Yeah.
to get my sketch on? So that kind of feeling.
But did you and Bill have any kind of agreement? Like, okay, we're going to do it at the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
time?
kind of
You
like,
did. Okay.
And it affected each other's like, well, once Bill was like, I'm going to leave this year, I was like, oh yeah, maybe, I think this will be my last year as well. And because of that, we had so much fun that last year. It was really loose. It was very like, I enjoyed my whole time there, but that last year was
you
very
were
enjoyable.
liberated because there was no repercussions?
Not that there would have been repercussions. It was more that, hey, this is the last year. What about this version of doing this show where you know, it's like a looseness to it.
Yeah.
And we would sort of make each other laugh.
Oh man,
You know.
you guys together, some of the hardest laughs of my life.
Oh yeah, same here. You know, and I think Seth Meyers left like 3 months after that, like soon, and then Jason Sudeikis, it was his last year as well.
Oh wow!
So it was like
That's
a whole,
huge. Yeah.
And Kristen Wiig had left the year before, Andy Samberg. So it was already feeling like a movement of like a changeover.
Right, change of guard. Yeah. What you said about riding with your friends and laughing, I can think of some of the times when we've been here and I'm laughing so hard I'm crying, and I'm thinking I can't believe that we get to record this and share it with others.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like he'll say something and I'm just
Oh, you mean like
I'm gone.
You mean like right here?
Yeah, right here. Yeah, for sure.
that's
Because there's been
wild.
times when he says that and I'm gone. Like I can't even. I'm just out.
Yeah.
Or like when we had Seth Rogen and then you're laughing so hard you can't even be you weren't even in the interview anymore.
Yeah, I was checked out.
I was like, oh, he's gone. Like, but it was so fun.
Because I couldn't stop laughing at the thing that I was laughing at. So like he's still asking him a question, and I'm like, that one thing that he just said, I can't shake it. I'm like, did that just happen?
I remember I was writing with Maya Rudolph once, and she was at the computer, and I was like sort of near the carpet on the floor, and she said something so funny that my mouth was kind of like on the carpet, and I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to inhale air anymore. like a pulsing. I could feel the blood in my neck. Like That was the best.
That's the best of times.
I know, that's what it's about, man.
Wow. Well, Fred, thanks for coming, sharing your story. I'm such a fan, and I love how we have such parallel interests and journeys, and big Devo fans.
Yeah, the feeling is, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like every time I see you, like first of all,
I mean, that was our first connection.
Yeah, our first connection was immediate.
Yeah.
But I'm a tremendous fan. But it kind of goes without say. But also, every time I bump into you at something, I'm like, of course you're here. You know, like,
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
It's like
we have seen each other at a few different events.
Yeah. So it's like,
Yeah.
well,
Well,
how
that's
am I
funny.
surprised?
Do we want to tell that story of our strange dinner after the Devo show? Do you remember that?
Well, there was the memorial I was with you at.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about when we actually had dinner that night after the Devo show and we got kicked out. Do you remember that?
We were upstairs.
We were at a hotel.
Yeah.
It wasn't that late, but their bar had just closed.
Oh, yeah.
And they were going to serve us drinks, so we were the only ones in the bar. And
Yeah.
we're with Mark and
Yes.
Anita and Kathy.
And Natasha.
And Natasha, yeah. And it was like, the bartender seemed like he was cool with it. Like, yeah, go ahead, whatever. And I'm like, is there nowhere to eat? And he goes, no, but you guys could like order takeout.
Yeah.
So we ordered, Postmates or I don't know, Grubhub or DoorDash or something. And then the food came. And when the food came, things were not cool anymore.
Well,
And
who thought it was not cool anymore?
The staff.
The hotel.
But they told you could do it.
yeah. And
the
also,
bartender was kind of like, yeah, if you want, yeah. But then the manager came, other people came, and they kicked us out.
Yeah. And
We
didn't get to eat.
At the hotel you're staying at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were a little bit like, hey, we're with Mark Mothersbaugh.
Yeah, that's
Like,
exactly.
I was a little bit like, I don't know, like,
Wait, you guys were saying
Yes.
you're with Mark?
Yeah, that was our
yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
we're with Devo. Is right here. Like we talked about.
you're with you.
we're not.
Yeah, didn't matter. Yeah.
Like,
even
Natasha
so they're
thought
on-
it was hilarious. She
Yes,
was just
she
like,
thought it was
oh,
funny.
yeah, you guys. And Anita was miffed. Kathy was just kind of observing the whole thing.
Even as you were telling the story, I also still lost the memory of the fact that we didn't think we were anybody. And it's not that
For
my
sure.
favorite
But I
part is-
have that. I mean, growing up as a skater and
Yeah.
having some success and none, and I always think like, no one. I'm a skateboarder. Like no one knows who I am. It's
Same.
fine, and I don't expect you to.
Yeah, same. But it's the guy from Devo.
Yes.
Also physically, he is the guy from Devo. Like he
Yeah,
looks
he's got
like
his glasses,
He's got his glasses, and he's like this sort of silver character.
Yeah.
It is pretty funny though. That
It was funny though because we got the food.
Kicked out,
We started to uncover the food, and they're like, "No." And so we all took our
Immediately.
food. Yeah, and we all took our food and went separate ways, and that was the end of the night.
you guys didn't powwow over it? You all just split?
No, we just left. they were
wrecked
serious.
the party.
They didn't. We didn't fight it because
Yeah.
something about restaurant staff. I think when they're shutting down, they're shutting down.
Yeah.
They're not like.
Yeah, I mean, we respected it, but they
Yeah.
were not cordial about it.
Yeah.
Or they weren't like, if you guys just hurry up and go. Or,
They were
clean
like
up. It was like,
angry.
no.
Yep.
Yeah, we're done here.
Yeah.
Man, I kind of like those guys.
I know. I guess it is.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
They were like,
Yeah, I mean,
They're a little bit like we don't care.
yeah, and they obviously didn't, which is also sorry, but kind of cool.
Yeah, I do have a respect for that side of it too. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was at an airport one time, and I was sitting. They had all these seats like in the terminal, but I guess there were these other certain seats that were kind of assigned to the bar area, but they were so far away that I didn't really associate that. And so I put my stuff there, and this guy's like, "Hey man, you can't sit here unless you're, have some at the bar." And I was like, "Oh, okay, fine." So I went somewhere else, and I could tell someone was like, "Dude, this is Tony Hawk. What here?" And then he came up to me later, and he's like, "Hey man, I didn't know you are, but," I go, I don't care." And he's like, "But you can't sit there anyway." You know what I mean? Like, he just wanted me to know, like, it's fine that people know who you are, but that doesn't give you privilege to sit there. I go, I didn't think it did.
Why did he come over to tell you
Because
that?
I think I was passing by again. And he's like, "Yeah, sorry, man. You're not allowed to sit
But
there."
that's-
But
but
I respected it because I was like, I don't want you to be like, "Oh, I didn't know who you are," so
Yeah.
you can bend the rules.
Yeah.
I respect that he's like, no one gets to sit there.
Yeah.
But
That's how it is.
but he was pretty obsessive about his job though.
Yeah,
to be like,
that's the only
just
bit
so
of-
you know.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
I mean,
really
he
not
was
cool.
more like I was walking by. I was like, "Hey, man, sorry."
Like a little
this is-
refresher,
okay,
a little
okay.
refresher kickoff for you.
Just so you know, you're not special. No one's
I
special.
don't know if I told you before how not special
Yeah.
you are, but you are not special.
No, I think I actually came over and shook his hand. I was like, "I get it, man. It's cool. You're fine."
That's
No
pretty
worries.
sweet. I like that guy. I also like that guy too. These guys are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Can't wait to
Fred,
be
thanks
security.
again.
Yeah,
That was a
thanks,
blast.
dude.
Thanks. I'm glad we
Awesome
finally
job.
got to do it.
Yeah.
Finally.
And I guess I'll, hopefully see you subbing for the drummer at the next DEVO show.
Yeah, yes.
Maybe you
Fingers
guys can come
crossed.
see me
Fingers
perform live with Metallica.
Yeah.
It can happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Come on, Metallica, make it happen.
I'm hoping.